Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and how are you guys doing? I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in a while, so I miss you guys so much. Now today, this video right here is all about the 7 habits of highly effective people. Now I know for a fact, all of us here know exactly how important habits are, especially when it comes to become successful, because your habits either make you great or they make you pretty bad or terrible, honestly. And you know, Warren Buffett says all the time, the chains of habits are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to actually be broken. And I say chains, okay? Not like gold chains, but I mean physical chains. You know, you start with one little habit here and there, and before you know it, you try to quit whatever it is, and you can't. And that's how heavy habits actually get. Also, James Clear says all the time, when you're trying to change your life, don't try to do it all at once. Start small. Just one small habit that's going to transform your life forever. Now, this right here, guys, this video, I'm going to be 100% honest, like I try to be in all of my videos here. This entire 7 habits of highly effective people is not mine. I did not study for 20 years doing research on successful people and how all this stuff works. And I'm going to guess, for example, that neither did you guys, okay? I'm going to bet my kids, my wife, and my house that you guys didn't do that also. However, I do know someone that actually did do this, and his name is Stephan Covey. Now, he is the author of the 7 habits of highly effective people. And yes, he did spend 20 years doing all this research. And unfortunately, he passed away July 16th of 2012. So shout out to him. And by the way, he was bald, but he also was worth around $12 million. Now, I say that because once you read the book, you'll notice that that is basically a joke that he has in his book. Yeah, I'm bald, but I'm worth some money. And on top of that, I am very, very effective in the morning because basically I don't got to blow dry my hair or anything. But I feel like a lot of the people I look up to are basically gone, you know, and that's why I love books, you know, because people leave behind so much information that we're able to go ahead and use to transform our lives forever. So hopefully, guys, this video helps you as much as it helped me. But I do recommend go over to Amazon or Audible, for example, link down below, and get this book right here for free using my link, or buy the book if you want to. The guy did an amazing job, and it's, what is it, 20 years of work? It's a lot of work. So support your boy. It is an amazing book, not sponsored, but I did appreciate all the information in this book. If you guys are new here, I post videos on YouTube very frequently, so make sure to go ahead and basically like this video. On top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. Now, let's get started, guys, okay? What is this book about, and what are these 7 habits? I don't want to stall any of this stuff, no. In reality, these habits are basically just 7. The first 3 are internal habits, things you have to change about yourself. The other 3 are external habits, basically how you deal with other people, how you interact with other people. And then habit number 7 is all about maintaining all those habits and creating synergy with them. Now, I do want to clarify something. When you do read this book, or for example, you watch this whole video, which I do recommend you do, you will say, Tommy, I can't do this. I'm not perfect. It's kind of crazy. Look, neither me or the author were able to kind of conquer these habits. You never conquer them. It's more like the better you get at them, you find out, hey, I'm lacking even more in them. It's like one of those things, okay? So no, it's not going to be perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The author wasn't perfect. However, though, it's important you try, you try. If you fall, guess what? Get back up, wipe yourself down, and I'm here with you, and let's just go through it, okay? Now, let's get into this video, guys, okay? And by the way, Tommy with the mustache, don't laugh at me. However, the first habit, Tommy, what is the first habit? And by the way, I don't have a lot of notes here because I kind of want to go for my gut because I just read this book very recently, so everything is very fresh in my mind. But the first habit is all about being proactive. Now, what exactly does this mean? It means, hey, how do you be proactive? First of all, guys, okay, a lot of the habits and beliefs you have right now are not your own. They come from your parents, your parents' parents, and your parents' 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 parents. To the point where you might be doing something and unconsciously you're like, oh, I do this because I like it. You know, it's probably because your parents taught you that's how things work. Now, the way Stephan broke this up basically in the book, he said, hey, the first habit, being proactive, is all about realizing that you are in control of your life. Or for example, you are the programmer to your life. So you got to be proactive in the sense of saying, hey, whatever I'm doing, whatever is going wrong, it's up to me. I have to take accountability, responsibility, and take control over them. So one thing that I would basically do is write down all the habits you have. Write down what you do on a day-to-day basis and say, hey, this is good, maybe not great, and then take responsibility. I have friends where, hey, Tommy, it's not my fault. It's my parents. It's my dad. He wasn't there. Neither was my dad. It's my mom. She didn't help me with this. You can't do that anymore. You have to go ahead and take responsibility for who you are. And that's when you actually are able to go ahead and make a change. Now, habit number 2. Remember, okay, if you guys remember, the first habit is realizing that you are the programmer. Now, habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. What is it that you want to do? And why do you want to do it, right? And what is your end goal with it? It's kind of like, for example, a relationship, right? You're with a girl or with a boy, and you're like, yo, what's the end in mind here? Like, what are we going to do here? We're going to chill, married? What are we going to do? You know what I mean? So that applies to me a lot, by the way. But overall, the way he broke down this habit is basically, this is when you actually notice that, hey, okay, yeah, habit 1 is I'm the programmer. Now, habit 2 is, well, let me go ahead and write the program, right? Let me write the program exactly what I actually want to do and what I want out of my life. What are the habits that I'm actually going to want? One way I took it was basically, it's kind of like the Michelangelo story, right? If you guys don't know this, basically, Michelangelo created the statue of David. Here's a picture, right? This very beautiful picture or whatever statue. I'm not an art person, okay? However, when they asked him, how were you able to do this? And by the way, whenever you're sculpting like a whole like sculpture or whatever, you're basically doing it from a solid block of marble. Here's also another picture of a solid block of marble, and they go for around $3,000, $10,000 or whatever. However, when they asked him, how did you do it? He said, well, I didn't do anything. David was already there. All I had to do was basically chip away at the parts that did not belong there. It's like the same thing in my life, in your life. Whatever you want to do is all about just taking away things that actually don't make sense and basically working on the things that actually do make sense towards you being who you want to be. Like, I want to be healthier. Let me work out. I wanna have good relationships. Let me go ahead and make friends and practice whatever it is, right? That's the whole idea. So habit 1 is you're the programmer. Take responsibility. Habit 2 is you want to go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to write the code, right? I'm going to think with the end in mind towards whatever I want to do. I'm going to do this career that I hate and I don't know what I want to do with it. Like, no, make sure you know what you want to do, right? Always work with the end in mind. Now, habit 3, guys, put first things first. I think for a fact, we all get this feeling here. I'm a big procrastinator. Well, I'm not a procrastinator. That's not what I am as a person, but I do procrastinate a lot. Okay, that's something that I actually do. That's something I actually learned from Gary Bishop, another great author. He says, don't call yourself something. Say you do that thing because that thing is not you. It's just an action that you basically do sometimes. So I procrastinate very often, whether it's on my phone or on my tablet or on my Netflix or whatever it is. I do it a lot. However, successful people, more than often, always put first things first. And this is basically called also the Pareto principle, saying, hey, 80-20 rule, only 80% or actually 20% of things you actually do give you 80% of the actual results. Meaning, if you have a list of things you have to do in a day, what is the most important task that's going to give you the biggest reward or, for example, result? and you want to focus on whatever that actually is. So put first things first and don't procrastinate doing busy work. I gotta answer emails for hours. Before I go to the gym, I gotta do all this stuff, and then I'll leave it for the end of the day. And in reality, then you don't even go to the gym, right? So you just don't do that, obviously. It makes no sense. But overall, the way you break this down is basically, well, habit 1 is you are the programmer, you're responsible. Habit 2 is you can change things with the end in mind. So write the code you actually want. And then habit 3 is all about, well, if you wrote the code and you're responsible, well, do the code, right? Execute the code. Actually go there and put those habits into action. So you know what it takes. You're responsible. Well, now you do it. And that's why the first 3 habits are all about inner habits. Things you actually do for yourself to make yourself a better person. That's where this actually comes from. However, habit 4, 5, and 6 are habits that actually come from the external point of view. And by the way, being dependent means that basically everything is you being dependent on other people. Being independent basically means, hey, I can be independent, I can do anything that I want, I can defend myself, all the stuff, which is great. But also, there's something that's actually stronger than both those things right there. And it's called being interdependent, where, hey, I am independent, but with your help also, we can do something that's actually even greater. And that is where these 3 habits actually come into play. And here are habit 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to break them down right now. Now, habit 4, guys, you have to think win-win. Now, this right here, I struggle with a lot, guys, okay? Because I'm a very competitive person. So whenever I'm trying to get a deal, I'm usually trying to say, hey, I want to win. And I want to win at whatever cost it is, whether you lose or whatever it is. However, if you run a business where basically your customers are always losing and you're always winning, you know, most likely you won't have customers for long because people don't like to be taken advantage of, okay? Now, I have the personality when it comes to like buying things on Facebook and getting deals, not with you guys, obviously. But win-win basically means I want to reach a point in our conversation, in our deal, in my job, at my office, or whatever it is, where I win and where you also win. For example, my editor, Danny, you know, I'll say this is a story, it's not too crazy, but he wants to go to college. He wants to go ahead and do big things for himself. And I also need an editor. So how do we win-win here? The answer is, well, I create a schedule. Not really like a schedule because he's like his own employee and so on. But I created, for example, like this whole system, well, we did, where he's able to do everything he wants to do while also taking care of whatever things are actually needed for this job. It's about thinking like, hey, I win and you win. And believe it or not, this right here is the toughest thing ever because it takes a lot of work to walk out of somewhere where that person is happy and you are also happy. It is very difficult and it takes time. It's so much easier to say, well, all right, let's just split the difference. You get this, I get this. Basically, you both walk away unhappy. You know, they call that compromise. And in marriage, that can end up basically devouring the marriage. No, usually you want win-win. And yes, you know, you won't always get win-win. Like, you won't always win. That person will win. But it is what you want to choose for. Now, what happens when you can't get win-win? No deal. You got to be able to walk away. Hey, if we can't come to a happy conclusion where you win and I win, let's just not make a deal. You know, in the book, there's a story about, for example, there was a software company and also a banking company. And the software company was actually building a software for the bank. And they signed a contract for like around, I think it was like $6,000, like $60,000, something like that. And then the bank said, hey, you know, we don't want this right now. You know, the people don't want this. It's brand new. It's just not going to be for us. And the programmer was like, yo, that's okay. All right, that's fine. If you guys are interested later on, feel free to come back because I want to make sure that I win, but you also win. And by the way, the programmer had a contract. He could have said, hey, I don't care about your feelings. You got to do what the contract says or I'll sue you. But he said no. All right. Now, 6 months later, the bank called in and said, hey, you're right. The program is actually what we actually need. Hired them for around, I think it was almost like $250,000, did the job, and they both won. Win-win. But you got to be able to walk away. You never want to walk away. You win, but that person loses. And by the way, it's not just for money and business, but also in relationships, friendships, and also marriages. Eventually, this is going to teeter and ruin your relationships with your friends. So win-win or no deal. And this takes a lot of work, but it's worth it. Now, habit number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Now, again, this is also external. Now, this means if me and you are friends or business partners or strangers, whatever it is, and you are angry or trying to tell me something, or I'm trying to give you advice, my job is to listen first, not to listen to answer, because we do that a lot. Like, I'm having a conversation with you and I'm like, okay, what am I going to respond? That's not listening. That's just you waiting to actually go ahead and reply, which is terrible. But when you seek to understand first, to then be understood, it means that when you're talking to me, all I want to do is just understand you. I want to know exactly where you're coming from. If you ever spoken to someone that does this, you feel like, oh my gosh, this person really gets me. And that is what successful people basically do. They make you feel like they understand you because they actually take the effort to actually understand you. And that takes a lot of effort, okay? So it means that if I'm talking to someone, I try to say everything that's said back to me, back to them, to fully make sure that I actually comprehend what they're saying. And this takes time. So, hey, do you really mean this? Did you mean this, and this? And they say, well, that's not what I meant there. Because remember, guys, okay, language is very tricky. It's not perfect. So you want to break things down exactly. So that way you basically understand where they're coming from. And then once you understand, then you go ahead and say, hey, well, do you want to hear how I feel about this also? Usually they'll say yes, because they know you understand their point. And then you explain how you feel. And that's how you actually get synergy. You get a conversation where they understand and you understand. But the worst thing is when you have a conversation with someone and you walk away and you're like, well, I said what I have to say. They said what they have to say or whatever. But we both walked away very unhappy without understanding the other person. That is what you want to avoid. And that's why you have to seek to understand first before you go ahead and try to be understood by that person. And it always takes you usually being the bigger person. And that's fine because you want to be successful. So this is what it takes. By the way, great book on this also is Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That right there is one of my favorite books by far. Now, habit number 6, guys, it is synergy or synergize. What does this mean? It means 1 + 1 is actually 5 or 10 or 20 or 30. Tommy, what's going on here? Are you crazy? Like, did you lose your mind? No, 1 + 1 is 2. No, okay? Let me break this down. If me and you get together, I'm independent, you're independent, and we become interdependent, basically we make a relationship where basically are kind of codependent on each other to actually build something actually great, or interdependent on each other. That means that if I combine your smarts with my smarts, guess what? We can make something that's actually greater than just 2. That is what that means. Imagine, for example, you have Einstein and let's just say like Elon Musk or Nikola Tesla, whatever, right? Like one of those very smart minds. When they combine together, is it 1 + 1? No, it's 1 + 1,000 or whatever it is, because they do something so powerful and they combine their energies to basically they create something that's actually greater than both of them could have ever imagined. That is synergy. So how do you do this? Again, if you practice all of these habits, you seek to understand, right? Understand that person fully. You go ahead and chase the win-win. You work together to get that deal. You get synergy. And you get usually a better outcome than you both actually wanted. That, my friends, is synergy. And by the way, a great example he actually used, Stephan, in the book. He was like, Tommy, it's kind of like how you have one adult and another adult. They get together, get married, they have a kid, do it again and again and again, and 1 + 1 can equal, for example, 4 or 5 kids. It's the same thing, kind of like that, right? So synergy is kind of like that, where you get together with someone, you're both independent, become interdependent, and you create something that's actually greater than you ever thought possible. It's like, I know I'm going longer on this point, but I really want to break this down. It's like if you're with a friend and you have this idea in your head, and they have this idea in your head, but if you guys work together and break those walls down, you could have, for example, a bigger idea you both didn't think about, but thought about it basically together. That is synergy. Now, habit 7, the last one here, guys, is going to be sharpen the saw. Now, what does this mean? It means that, again, all of these habits, even the author said, hey, Tommy, I struggle with all of these habits. I'm not perfect with any of these habits. Neither am I, by the way, and neither will you be. So the point is, you have to practice them over and over again. They become a kind of like lifestyle to you. And you know, the more you work towards them, the more you do. By the way, guys, this book has literally changed my life, you know, and that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. So again, the book is called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Here's the book here. I have a link down below to Audible. Get this book for free. Listen to it when you're in the gym or in your car. If you want to buy the book, buy the book. I'm not sponsored, but this book right here changed my life forever. And by the way, confession here, whenever a book is super popular, I don't know why, but I never want to read it. I just never want to read it. Like, I'm like, it's too popular, it's too hype. But this was one of those books. I was like, I don't really want to read that book. Like habits, I read so many habits books, I'm tired. No, but this book right here is different because it's more about, hey, it's not about, hey, if you do this little thing here, this big thing happens. It's more about, hey, just change your core. Change your principles. Change the way you actually are. Make a mission statement. Make a family statement. Do all these things and you will get these results. You know, this book reminds me of at least like 50 books I actually read about self-development, but all in one book. That's how powerful it actually is. So I highly, highly recommend this book. I'm going to give it a Tommy score of a 9.1. It's that good. So by the way, Tommy score is 1 out of 10. So 9.1 is spectacular, by the way, guys. So again, link down below to this book if you guys want to get it. But comment down below and let me know, what is one habit that you want to build in 2021? Comment down below, let me know. Share it in the comments down below. There are more people out there that actually want to maybe get that habit from you, whatever it is. I'm definitely going to steal your habit if it's a good one. So share it. You know, let's become interdependent. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Comment if you like this video. Like the video if you like the video. That's how I know you actually like this video, guys. And as always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified. Follow me on Instagram at TommyBryson. If you guys want to talk to me one-on-one, well, just join me on my 3rd channel called Ask Me Bryson, where I actually take calls. Schedule a call today. The link is down below for free calls. On top of that, here is another video. Click my face right here. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And as always, peace out. Love you guys.